Welcome to the Conscious Solutions Podcast, where we highlight leaders, founders, and practitioners who are shaping the future of healing, recovery, and human transformation. This show is dedicated to the people who help the people, the innovators building clinics, nonprofits, recovery programs, wellness practices, and community-based solutions that create real impact in the world. I'm Brandon Barclay, and over the last 8 years, I've had the privilege of working alongside organizations across the alternative wellness and mental health landscape, from retreat centers and practitioners to nonprofits, recovery programs, and community-driven initiatives. And one thing has become very clear. The people doing the most meaningful work are often the ones with the least support, visibility, and resources. And this podcast is designed to change that by sharing the real stories, lessons, challenges, and breakthroughs from the leaders on the front line of human healing. Thanks for being here, and let's dive into today's conversation. You're listening to the Conscious Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Barclay, and today I'm joined by Jake Porter from Daring Ventures, a counseling, coaching, and intensive care practice built around the belief that we are created for connection, integrating attachment science, neuroscience, and relational psychotherapy to support individuals, couples, and families. This conversation is about leadership reality, what it takes to build and scale a care-based business in today's world. For those tuning in for the first time, we are Conscious Solutions. We help mission-driven organizations build stronger operational foundations, generate aligned growth, and streamline their back-end systems. That includes foundation, a bespoke operating system built around how your organization actually works, alongside B2B lead generation and CRM automation that eliminate friction and support scale. If you're ready to strengthen the system underneath your mission, DM us the word growth. Now let's get to it. Jake, welcome to the Conscious Solutions Podcast, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. I'm looking forward to our visit.
I would love for you to start with just sharing with us where in the world you're tuning in from.
I am in Houston, Texas. Looking out, I can see downtown right there. I'm in an area called the Heights, Houston Heights. Yeah.
And is this home for you? Has this been home or?
This has been home. The Houston area has been home. I grew up about 30 miles east of Houston in what used to be a very small town. It's grown quite a bit since I was a kid. I spent 4 years in upstate New York for my undergrad degree in Elmira, which most people never heard of Elmira College. It's up near Ithaca, up in that area. Beautiful area, Finger Lakes region of New York. So yeah, I was up there for 4 years and then came back home, back down here. Yeah.
And why addiction therapy, counseling? What is it that got you or inspired you to move into this body of work?
So I am in recovery myself. I got into recovery in 2009. I was a pastor. I used to be a pastor for 13 years. I was pastoring my home church that I grew up attending. So pastoring the people that, like changed my diaper in the nursery and taught me vacation Bible school and all that kind of stuff. But I had another life that I was living outside their awareness. I was good at hiding it. And so in 2009, I got into recovery for sex addiction. Now the term chronic sexual behavior, compulsive sexual behavior is more frequently used. But yeah, and so that introduced me into the world of recovery. And so had an imperfect recovery for a few years, but really loved the work, personally loved the community of recovery, and was getting a lot of feedback in meetings in my group from my therapist, like, Jake, you're kind of good at this. You should consider doing this. And so in 2013, I went back to school, started getting training. I became a certified sex addiction therapist, got a master's in clinical mental counseling. And in 2017, I left pastoring full-time and went full-time into this work. Yeah.
Wow, amazing story and journey. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And I mentioned earlier, we have kind of a shared background there of coming from, addiction. And
Yeah.
um, I was, it's interesting. I think about that, and in some ways, I feel fortunate that it happened to me when I was pretty young.
Yeah.
Um, and I have a background now in helping on the addiction and recovery recovery integration work, more on the substance use side of things. So I know the need for the work, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I think a lot of people think about addiction as a substance problem. They think about alcoholism, they think about heavy
Right.
drug use. I don't think people always realize that addictions show up in lots of different ways,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
behavior being a really big one. And I almost would argue that most addiction is behavioral addiction.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is prevalent. There's no place in our culture where it's difficult to find, to my knowledge, anyway. I mean, we carry it around, with these things right here. I mean, the designers, brilliant as they are, they intentionally yet leverage what we know about sort of the neuroscience of behavioral addiction in the way they design apps and notifications and all that kind of stuff. In fact, I noticed I've got two little girls, a 5-year-old and an almost 3-year-old, and I noticed the other day I was impatient with them. I was like, why? Why am I being impatient? I'm generally a pretty patient person. It's because they were getting in between me and my phone.
Mm,
I was doing something on my phone, and that's the way people act when something is getting in between them and the thing that's giving them those, that continual stream of dopamine.
yep.
And so there it is. There it is. There's an example of it.
So you were good at this thing. You went back to school, and you've established a nice wall of certifications.
Yeah.
I was looking at all the certifications that you have, and I was like, oh, that's a good list. Um,
That's another addiction almost. Like, I love learning. I love to learn. I've taken a break. It was a personal growth issue to not do any trainings for a couple of years. So, yeah.
well, good work exercising your
Thank
boundaries.
you. Thank you.
At what point did Daring Ventures become an idea, or when did you realize that this was this business you were birthing?
Sure. So in 2013, when I first went back to get more schooling and more training, I started working at another clinic here in Houston. Um, got some really good experience there. Had a good mentor there. Uh, Good supervision. I was still living out in my hometown at the time, and so it was a pretty good drive. It was about a hour one way to get there. And so I got tired of driving back and forth. And also, I'm not like a great math person, but I was good enough to figure out, I knew what she was charging people to see me and what I was getting paid, and I could do that math. And and I decided to open up my own practice on the side. Now, this is while I was still pastoring, so I had a little private practice on the side. Well, that grew and grew and grew, and I could not keep doing both. In fact, I relapsed. I did not take good care of myself. Was working, 30 hours a week in my private practice, plus was the lead pastor of this church, and so I actually relapsed, and that caused a huge course correction for me. And part of the work after that was like, okay, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep working this much. I need to choose. And so I decided to kind of go all in on the clinical work. The name Daring Ventures comes from a quote by John Bowlby. And you may or may not, listeners may or may not be familiar with that name. John Bowlby was early 20th century, well, actually not early, just 20th century British psychologist, the father of attachment theory. So he, back at a time when, Freud reigned and everything was conceived of as these internal drives that we have, he was like, you know what, I think the early relationships make a big difference on how we turn out. And he was kind of laughed at. Long story short, his research, along with the research of some others that was going on at the same time, just really changed the whole field of psychology. And he has a quote that says, life is best organized as a series of daring ventures from a secure base. Mm. So the idea is, when we have secure attachments in our lives, strong relationships, people who we know, like, they will be there for me. No matter what, I will have this person. That actually positions us, enables us to live a more full, big life, to take the good, healthy kind of risks, to explore and grow and try things and fail. It's like a ship, is more willing to go out and explore the seven seas if it knows it's got that safe harbor to return to. So when I read that quote, life is best organized as a series of daring ventures from a secure base, I was like, that's it. That's the business right there. Because I do believe so much of the work is relational in nature and about needing to experience those kind of healthy connections.
And when I hear that, I hear tending to the foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is foundational to who we are. Human beings, think about any other animal that we know of. My parents live on a bunch of land. There's cattle on their land, and a cow will drop a calf, and that calf is up walking around just moments later, right? Moments later. And that's the case for so many different animals. Human beings need other human beings for survival to a degree that is really, like, remarkable compared to other animals. It's absolutely fundamentally wired into who we are, that we exist because of and through, and I would even say for the purpose of relationships with others.
I 100% agree. The power and necessity for community is something that cannot be removed from the human experience.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. I mean, when people don't have it, or maybe they have it, but there's something within them. And I'm not even talking about a character flaw or anything like that, but just maybe the way they grew up, the way they were sort of programmed to relate to community. It's getting in the way of them really experiencing the safety and security that we need. And I'm not someone who says every single mental health condition grows out of that, but a lot of them do. A lot of them do.
Yeah, and you look at the way that we live our life, and there's nobody that can do it alone.
No,
You can't actually.
you can't.
And that's one of my taglines. My favorite taglines is "Community is the medicine."
Yeah,
And just
absolutely. Yeah, we can't do it alone. And I've had that discussion with clients, and I'll be, playfully like, come on, push, prove me wrong, push back, right? Well, I can read a book. Well, that's a relationship to the author of that book. Watch a YouTube video. Well, that's another person behind that video. Like, we really rely on others. Now, the proximity of the other can vary, but I used to. I don't get to teach this course anymore, but I have a side gig teaching at a higher education institution. Now I do the doctoral program, but I used to, in the master's program, teach human growth and development. And I loved to teach. That was my favorite class to teach. And I had a whole lecture that basically unpacked this thesis that as human beings, we cannot separate our individual growth from our relational experience.
Mm.
They really are one and the same. My experience of relationships, and particularly the way I experience myself in relationships, absolutely is, I'm not going to say the only thing, but a huge part of what sort of sets the trajectory for my development as a person and my growth. And so, you know, we're kidding ourselves if we think, oh, I can go, do self-help on my own. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah.
So I love that you said that and you're bringing this in. I just heard a woman describe entrepreneurism as another form of therapy.
Okay.
Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to start your own business, that it is going to bring up all of your insecurities. It's going to bring up all of your belief systems about your value and your worth. It's going to bring up all of your attachment issues.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I love that you kind of teed that up because it's really present in my mind. I was just listening to this woman kind of illustrate this, and I was like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what was getting Daring Ventures off the ground like for you. And an entrepreneur venture is certainly different than being in school and having those structures, being under, a mentor or somebody that's, I'm sorry, what's the word? You have monitors when you're working through your licensure.
Oh, like a supervisor
Yeah,
or
you have supervisors. You're working in somebody else's clinic in their
Mhm.
practice, right?
Right.
Uh, so, what was that process like, launching Daring Ventures
Yeah.
and turning it really into something like it is today?
Yeah. Well, so for me, it really started back as a kid because my dad is an entrepreneur. And so I grew up watching my dad spin up businesses, sell them, spin up another one, sell it, run businesses. And so I saw that was modeled for me. And I think that was always sort of within me. Even when I look back at, leadership positions I had going way back, college and high school even, I always wanted to like start something new. Like I always had big ideas. So I've always been more of a vision kind of person. Um, and and so when I first started uh Daring Ventures, I had a couple of years having this other little practice that I had on the side, which for tax reasons and yeah, the advice of counsel had, shut that down and opened a new one. A lot of my clients transitioned over, but that's when I started like hiring, I made my first hire, and realized, okay, now when he works, I'm getting a little bit of mailbox money, I called it at the time, right? When he's working and just there was a lot of mistakes I made, a lot of learning, but I've always been this big picture guy. Um, and we grew very, very quickly, faster than I could have imagined, which was great in one way. On the other hand, um, we are just within the last couple of years, we are going back and trying to actually build the systems and the back end sort of infrastructure and do the SOPs and have an operating system. I heard you say that, that's part of what you offer. Anyone who's getting started, I just want to say, like, start with one. You'll be so happy that you go ahead and it may feel like it's slowing you down now, but what it will save you trying to like retrofit your business into a scalable operating system, that's a nightmare. Just take that from me. So there was a lot of like building the plane as you fly it, for several years. And actually what happened was probably about 4 years ago, I realized, okay, the staff had gotten to, how many did we have? Maybe 14 or so. And everyone still reported to me, basically. And I was like, okay, this is not working. And so I made my first hire of a clinical director, which was a huge shift in the company. Everyone was used to being able to come right to me, and I was used to everyone coming to me. And so that, there was a lot of learning to happen there. And then about 2 years ago, my wife, who worked in the oil and gas world for many years, I recognized we needed an operations director. And as I was writing up the job description, I was like, this is my wife. So we talked about it, thought about it. And about coming up on 2 years ago, she left her oil and gas career. She came on and she's been helping with that operations side. And it's been hard to sort of herd the cats, and retrofit the structure, but really, really good. Really good.
What do you see as the value that you're getting from that reorganizing or restructuring of the system?
Oh, there's so many things. I think one of the most important pieces, I was going to say for me, but actually I think it's for everybody on the team, is clarity of roles. Real clarity of roles and an accountability chart, which is the org chart, but to frame it around accountability and just getting really clear on what's yours and what's not yours, and how do we do this, and sort of automating a lot, sometimes like literally automating through technology, but also automating the decision process, right? Like there's a process for this. We don't have to think this through every single time, case by case. We have a process for this now. And so the clarity that has come, that would be number one. The other thing that I would say though is the discipline of setting and then aligning ourselves around goals, really on a quarterly basis is what we're doing. That has really been significant. It's like, this sounds so trite, but do less to do more, right? Like really, this is all we're doing this quarter. This is our focus. We're not saying yes to anything else, because I am totally the kind of person that sees something shiny over here. It's like, that sounds fun. Let's do that. I'm a yes person. Yeah, let's try it. And so this has reined me in greatly, but it's been to the benefit of the whole organization.
Amazing. Some good gems in there.
Yeah.
Bring us up to today at Daring Ventures. You have a lot of services that you're offering, some pretty unique, from what I'm seeing, programs and your intensives. Give us the bird's eye view of your team, the size of the client base that you're serving, and what are the offerings that you're putting out there today?
So where we've really sort of carved out a niche for ourselves is I've created a model called couple-centered recovery. And in the recovery world, and I'm pro traditional recovery world, I'm a 12-stepper, so I don't want anyone to misunderstand what I'm about to say. But sometimes 12-step principles and ideas and practices can be applied in ways that actually undermine a marriage or a primary relationship with someone who's not in that program, right? The whole, hey, you keep your side of the street clean, or hey, that's your recovery. It's not her recovery. She needs to stay out of your recovery. And I know it's intended with all of that. I know what the heart behind it is. But I just also know that, especially for the type of addiction work that we do, that becomes a really convenient place for people to hide.
Sure.
And to hide maybe from a person they've harmed a lot. So when we talk about compulsive sexual behavior, we see people who, have acted out in all sorts of hidden ways and violated the terms of their relationship, their marriage, or their primary partnership, or whatever. And there's a lot of hurt. And now we understand, there's a lot of research that shows that the partners of those who um, have struggled with these behaviors, if the behaviors were hidden, which they almost always are when it's something sexual, these are almost always hidden behaviors. It's a form of betrayal. It's like, wait a minute, you've been doing this for 10, 20, 40 years. I've got some clients coming in today, 40 years. There's this, my whole story in my mind of our relationship, it just gets shattered when I
Right.
learn all this information.
Right.
And it's actually called betrayal trauma. Okay. So what we do is the couples in recovery process says, look, we got two injured people here. And of course there's going to be individual work that needs to happen. But what would happen if we took your relationship and we really put it at the center of the process? If we said, you're going to work recovery, but you're going to do it fully mindful of the impact on your relationship and taking accountability for the impact in the relationship. And what happens there is the very things, if you look at the research on what makes 12-step programs effective, it's not going to meetings. It's not, what makes 12-step effective is, number one, I submit myself to something greater than me. It could be the group, it could be a sponsor, it could be the program, with a capital P right. But that's about not running the show anymore. And then number two, somebody knows everything. No more secrets, right? Well, what would happen if you just applied those two things to your marriage? It's harder, it's trickier, but incredible healing can happen. So all of that to say, not that we only see people who are married or in a long-term primary relationship, but a lot of what we do is helping people who want that relationship to make it. Maybe they've done traditional recovery for a long time, but the relationship is still suffering. We can often come in and help try to bring repair and healing to the relationship as well. And so we do therapy and coaching and groups. We do customized couples intensives. So we start with tons of assessments. It's a little bit of lots of hoops to jump through, but tons of assessments so we can really try to understand what's going on between you and your partner. And then we design an experience around your needs to try to, like a steroid shot, really try to help you get a boost in healing together. I've started doing psychedelic assisted psychotherapy in Texas. All we can do is ketamine
Yeah.
right now, but I've had some amazing success with that and done some intensives with people from out of state who've flown in for it. We are going to do a psilocybin assisted retreat in Oregon in June,
Amazing.
specifically for women who've been betrayed by a partner with a hidden sexual addiction or compulsive sexual behavior. And so that's coming up in June. Yeah.
Incredible. And I love to see the kind of response to the world that we're in today, right? The wave of psychedelics
Mhm.
is upon us.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing how to leverage these tools in a way to really support our growth and development and our healing, which I think is part of why they exist today.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. Well, was always curious, just there was a part of me that was curious, but then many years ago now, I don't know, I would guess 2019-ish, something like that. There was a woman I had been working with, her and her husband, for years, years. She ended up being my longest client. Unfortunately, she passed away of an illness last year, but um, she was having a really difficult time working through sort of this terrible mixture of childhood trauma, uh, sexual abuse, parental abuse, and then discovering her husband's behaviors that had been hidden from her, and a bunch of other stuff. And those traumas had gotten all tangled up, and she was just having the hardest time sort of separating what was going on currently with her husband from everything else she had experienced in her life. She had one psychedelic experience. They went on a trip. She had one psychedelic experience, and she said in that, she sat on that couch. It wasn't in this room, but that couch, and she told me about it. And she said she saw all the people who had hurt her all twisted up in front of her. And throughout the course of this experience, they just slowly untangled and unraveled. And as they did, it separated in her mind these different wounds. And when she came out of it, she was able to sort of see her husband apart from all this other stuff. And it radically changed her life and her marriage, her husband's life. And I was like, okay, I'm in. And so as soon as I could, I got trained and did a great training program in psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. And I'm excited to bring that new tool to people who feel stuck in this work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, a new form of medicine that is natural,
Yeah.
speaking to psilocybin specifically, but that's
Yes.
natural, has very little to no known side effects,
Right.
plays really well with most other things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and can achieve some of the things that traditional mood behavior drugs have not been able to.
Exactly.
So I'm with you there. I'm very excited for what's coming, and it takes people like you willing to bring it into your practice to demonstrate its effectiveness, to help kind of curb those the stigma that
Yeah.
that really this country is still trying to get over.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I've had some clients who, they got my email announcing the psilocybin experience this summer, and they were, I had a lot of eyebrows raised and some people like mad at me about it. But I said basically what you just said, like, this is a totally natural, safe and apparently effective process, especially compared to a lot of the drugs that are offered out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future of your practice going? What does it look like, in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years for Daring Ventures?
Yeah. So we are, we've been in a season of trying to, I don't want to say we were trying to like throttle our growth, but that it hasn't been our focus. Our focus has been on building that infrastructure, like I was talking about earlier, really getting it shored up. As my wife says, if I were to get hit by a bus, what would happen? That's so we're trying to create an organization that can outlast me. Not that I'm planning on going anywhere or doing anything different right now, because I'm not. But so that's been the focus for the last few years, and we're just now starting to pivot again back toward a little more of a growth mindset, but trying to grow in more scalable ways, which I was not good at at all when I started the business. And so a lot of learning has happened and developing some programs and some stuff that it won't necessarily be clinical work, but more educational, but that could really try to help people, with these things. Yeah.
Your wife's definitely the operations guru.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. She is. She's made for it. We're a good team.
For people who might be interested in your work, your programs, maybe the retreat, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
They can just hit up my website, drjakeporter.com, and you can pretty much get anywhere from there in everything that I do. I've got online coaching programs for couples, and I've got, we do our intensives, and you can learn about that at daringventures.com. You can also get there from drjakeporter.com too. I have a book people could download for free. I give it away for free if they want it. It's on my couple-centered recovery model. Let me see. I think I have. There we go. Breaking Barriers, Building Bridges. So if anyone is interested, if you're in recovery, but your relationship is still struggling, you can go to drjakeporter.com/breaking barriers and download that for free. And it's got a lot of good resources in it. So yeah. I'm on YouTube. I've got hundreds of hours of stuff on YouTube at Dr. Jake Porter, Instagram, all that stuff.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to link to your website. We'll put a link there specifically to the book, and we'll make sure to tag your YouTube channel as well.
Awesome.
Any words of wisdom, final thoughts, anything you want to share with the audience as we come to a close?
Yeah. I'm going to bring it back to, the name of my business, Daring Ventures. Whatever it is you're looking to do, just know that you're going to do it better, and you're going to do it bolder if you're tending to your most important relationships first. It's not an either or. I don't see it as an either or. When I get into an either or place of like what I feel is like my passion and my calling in life and the important people in my life, then I'm misaligned somewhere. But there should be a synergy with all these elements of my life, and when I just I met with my personal trainer this morning and worked out this morning, and that was self-care and tending to myself. Caring for my important relationships, that's part of self-care as well, and it's also part of my health as a leader. And stay connected to the people important to you. It will serve you well.
Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, you bet.
And thank you,
Brandon.
Thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure to get to know a little bit more about what you're up to with Daring Ventures and your practice in the world. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Brandon.
And thank you to all of our listeners who have been tuned in to another episode of the Conscious Solutions podcast. Every conversation reminds us that systems of care are only as strong as the people within them. If today's episode resonates, please share it forward. I'm Brandon Barclay. Stay present, stay curious, and keep building with heart. Thanks for listening to the Conscious Solutions podcast and for being part of a movement that supports the people who support the people. If today's conversation inspired you, share it forward, follow the show, and stay connected for upcoming episodes. And if you're a founder, a practitioner, or an organization doing meaningful work in the healing or wellness space, or you're looking for support in building systems that help your mission grow, reach out. I'd love to hear your story and explore what's possible. Until next time, stay curious and keep building with heart.